Okay, hello, ladies. Hello, ladies. My name is Lavita Murray. It's time to march. It's time to march for the unborn. It's time to march. It's time to protest for for racial justice, for women in racial justice. It's time to march against policies. It's time to march against procedures. It's time to march to break the chain. We want you to endorse this. Why is why is it time to march? It's time to march, ladies. They're starting to march in D.C. They're organizing. We're organizing nationally. My name is Lavita Murray. Um, we know that um, we know that Tanisha Anderson, 37 years old, with mental health issues, died less than a month earlier after Cleveland police uh, officer performed a takedown move. Her family has sought 911, turned the tragedy into crucial, and it became more crucial to our community to ensure well-being and the constitutional rights of our civilian mental health issues like Tanisha does not happen again. We know that police militarization occurred with executive order. The war still comes down to women's homes. We know that across the country, heavily armed special weapons and tactics teams are forcing their ways into people's homes in the middle of the night, often deploying explosive devices such as flashbang grenades to temporarily blind and deafen residents simply to serve a search warrant on the suspicion that someone may be in possession of a small amount of drugs. Neighborhoods are not a war zone. So we're marching and protesting. Get ready, Cleveland. Get ready, get ready, get ready. Nationals. I will be in D.C. with the other national Million Women organizing the women there. We know that police involved in killings and in custody, death, data collection, compilation, presentation, and the national online searchable database is old and warped, and it's not up to date of race and gender of all the women who have been violated just through national transportation and safety. We know that all we know that each state and legislation adopt change, but the system is only designed for more and allows more biases against women. We know even in Egypt, the voting in Egypt, we know that many women are voting, but there are many feminists boycotting votes. And so we know that. And so we know also a system that allows, we know in Alabama, the judges, the bias with the judges. Judges who do not agree to hear petitions are given wide directions to make their decisions, which can subject even our young people to harmful biases. Questions asked, why are they bypassing hearings? Does she have a plan for dealing with possible complication arising from abortions? We know abortion is an issue right now. So we know that the laws, the Supreme Court allows states to implement laws that require minors to seek abortion and notify one or both parents. And this includes alternative procedure. We know how judicial bypassing. 8 states add the additional burden of requiring parent consent forms by notary. Kansas, for an example, requires that two parents give consent in front of a registered notary. A few states allow grandparents and other family members or doctors to give permission in lieu of parent, but most require a judge permission in the form of 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 in the form of in the form of we know that in the form of um, and we know this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. What do I want to see happen there? What I want to see happen there is more so stop the patriarchy. I'm headed to Selma. I'm headed to New York for the 1010. I'm headed to D.C. for the 1010 Farrakhan March. Even the marriage is with the women. I'm going to hear Farrakhan Justice or Else. I had a part in negotiating and hitting the meetings and hitting the leaderships and um, discussions and planning on this 20 on this Million Man March on 1010 and then on 1024 Rise Up October. These mass marches are very significant. It's time to march. These are the men, but the women are rising up, and the women are seeing that even today the United States Supreme Court ruled by a 5-4 the same sex is legal throughout the United States. The right to marry is a basic right. Denial of that right has the hundreds of years in this country essentially deprived people of their humanity. This has been a historic, horrific injustice, outrage. The ruling is long overdue, and it's not something that we're celebrating. We don't want women taking our teenagers, sticking their fingers up their vagina and calling it sex. We call it rape. We don't want other women at the bottom of the society who hates marriages, who claims victory over same-sex marriages to oppress our people. So we want to educate our teens and our single women on those terrorists, and we want to continue to say, ladies, it's time to march. It's time to march. I will be at the tent. I will be continually traveling to the nationals. I will definitely, I want to say to Carl Dixon, I want to say to, um, we're working very hard. I'm working on 3 marches right now, and I tell you, we really want to see um, how when it's time to march, it's time to march. I want to see how the people rise up and really take a stand against this thing. Really realize that even 137 shot, the whole damn system is guilty. We know the Cleveland judge let cops involved in murders. Why are these judges still working? We know the involvement Timothy Melissa Williams, 137 shots. Why are these judges still in their seats? Why they're not terminated? Why did they let Brelow walk? Why are they letting these officers walk? We know they're letting a cop walk, coming up against the law enforcement officer, anyone that does not coming up against the law, any injustice and oppression against our people. We know which side you take, and we know you don't take the side of justice. You're not taking the side of justice in any location and in any space and in any support to our young people in our communities, in our neighborhoods, in our families. But so now we're rising up, and it's time to march. Women, it's time to march. I would be when we look at litigating police liability claim, we look at the evidentiary issues. We look at the evidentiary issues. We look at the excessive force. We look at the affirmative defenses, the immunity, statutory and common laws. We look at discovery, demotion of judgment, trial and settlement, appeal, including interlocking appeals. So the point I'm making is there is severe conflict and complexities in real life police misconduct and comparative analysis on the brutality cases against women. Those injustices must stop. We will not tolerate it. We will not accept it. and we're going to think it's time to march. Even when Malcolm X used to talk about the role of houses slaves back in slavery, the houses slaves working the big house, it was still slavery, but it was better than being out in the field, slavery under the sun, slavery in a house, slavery in a field in the conditions of hell slavery. And women are still in slavery, and they're enslaving one another, and the system is set up for them to enslave one side, enslave the other side. So we know that must stop, and we know that we're bringing so much women, we are bringing so much stress into the homes. It must stop. It must stop. Do the right thing is not good enough. It's not good enough. We're rising up. We're saying that we have a right to rebel. We have a right to rebel against the system. It's just unacceptable. And so we want the very presence of our people, especially the women. We want to struggle for justice to stop against our women. We want it to stop. We want justice, and we want justice now. We don't want to accept any other negotiations, and we want to. I want to say thank you to the women who are organizing in D.C. In 2015. We're looking for the Million Women March in Cleveland. I just want to say thank you to the women. Stop the patriarchy, who wants to end pornography. They're boycotting Hooters and different porn movies, and stop the enslavement of women, and how we can continue to look at how we're going to fight and break all the chains, how we want to fight and break the word bitches implied to women plays the same social word as nigger applied to black people. We know, you mean to tell me there's no distinction between the violence of a rapist and the woman's violence and fighting back against that? Wake up and realize what's going on in this world. The oppression of the women, particularly in the form of this aggressor, as Avakian says, violent pornography and the sex trade and all of that, as well as the enslavement of women in the form of seeking to deny them the right to have reproductive freedom, to be able to choose when and whether to have children. For God's sake, if you pardon the expression something as fundamental as that, denying them that right to that is a tantamount to slavery. It's virtually slavery in form and fact of slavery. The women should have a right to vote. The woman should have her rights to make her own decisions and choices without the system increasing their enemy forces. And so even the things that are different compared to the 60s, there's an important potential role of radicalized women, particularly young women. This is so even though right now many are caught up in a lot of nonsense. And even though they hold a sway now, two women, what is two women doing kissing and having sex? We know that's another way that is considered to reduce the women's character as a woman of justice. It's against the nature of love, and it's basically reduced to the notion of increasing your value as a commodity in the form. Now you're part of the commodity system. There's something to sell. You're a product, and that must stop. That's unacceptable. Still, even though things are not the same at the time of 60 upsurge, and there are things right now and not very positive in the terms of what is happening on the political term and the polarization in society. We should not look at things only in the media terms and in a short-sighted way and in an empiricist, pragmatic way, but should look at the underlying contradictions and the potential of things to be radically transformed on the basis of what in fact are driving forces that are embodied and these unresolved contradictions. So we know records of reinforcements and training police officers piled and different issues, the judicial bypass issues, the undue burden that's on our young people seeking safety and abortion care, that we're told that they're killing the abortionist doctors, and that um, we know that every day 3 to 4 women are killed by their partners. 1 out of 4 female colleges will be raped or sexually assaulted either by another woman or a man. And we know pornography has become increasingly violent, degrading towards women, and that's unacceptable. We're not accepting that as women, and the million. Why the Million Women March? It's time to march, ladies. It's time to march. Women are referred to as dumpsters and fuck buckets and money shot ejaculation in women's face is a standard. Humility, cruelty, like violent ass to mouth penetration. I heard a guy say, not all women. I don't care. We don't want none of our women degraded. Um, and racist bigotry. If you don't do that, you're unacceptable. It's considered racist bigotry. Meanwhile, the broader culture has been pornified. Pole dancing is a type of gym, and the sexes is a national phenomenon among our teens, and the strip clubs is accepted as a backdrop to male bonding. And all this tied in with reinforcement the trafficking of millions of women at literal chattel and the international sex industry must stop. This is not accepted. This is not society becoming more comfortable with sex. This is society becoming saturated with degrading women. And if you can't imagine sex without porn, you're unacceptable. And so this must stop. Um, we want to continue to use women are not things. You will see literature. You will get more instructions from Million Women March. You will get more instructions, more media upcoming, more air show, more publicity. My name is Lavita Murray. I'm from Cleveland. We'd like to say to our President Obama, we ask that you talk to Michelle Obama, our President, First Lady. I really want her, get the ladies to get ready for the march, get our teens ready for the march. And I just want to thank you for listening, and we want to thank you, and we'll see you at the Million Women March in Cleveland in 2016. We will be protesting. Ladies, it's time to march. It's time to march. It's time to march.